Thank you for joining me here on the Political Napalm. Let's go ahead and get into it today in terms of comparing and contrasting the quote October surprises on both parties' behalf here in the United States. So there has been this sort of long-standing rumor for at least a couple weeks that there were going to be October surprises, and these October surprises represent bombshell allegations and situations that may undermine a specific person running for president, whether it be Kamala or Donald Trump. And of course, we've seen this in the past with the Hunter Biden laptop story, the but her emails story, and everything like that. I cannot recall if any of these happened in the Obama terms, whether it was against Obama or against the people he was running against, but it does seem like since Trump and Hillary back in 2016 that this is just going to be commonplace. So let's discuss the two big ones that we're seeing here and show how there actually is quite a big deal of difference in how both parties are approaching this. So one of the major allegations that is occurring now is that Donald Trump groped a minor at an event. What you were seeing here, this in terms of this video that's been playing, this is not that video. This video is old. It has been out for a bit, but it is pertinent to the discussion. This is basically a prior bad acts in legal terms over here. This is from a Tapusa event or Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk stuff. Here this girl's like, okay, thank you, blah, 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 goodbye. And Donald really wants a kiss, and you can see where this hand begins to get pulled to. Now, let's actually really take a look at his shirt, because he wears those super long ties. And take a look at where the hand actually gets pulled to. So we know that right around here is his waist. It's going to about the waistline. And then it starts to go down and in. It's weird. This is definitely a weird sequence. Yes, this video is slowed down. This is not the normal speed. It's sort of weird that he doesn't let her go without the kiss. But then he sort of backs off from it at the last moment. Like, he leans in for the kiss over here. He's like, wait a minute. Pull back, come on. Give me a kiss on the cheek. And she's like, okay, all right. And then he sort of recoils from it. But then he gives it this, look at this one, smirk. How about that? And then, double thumbs up and he's happy. It is certainly a very weird sequence of events. But this is not the one that people are talking about in terms of the rumors. Nor is it this one with former Sports Illustrated model Stacey Williams. Stacey Williams has come out to say that she received unwanted touching from Trump while Epstein looked on back in '93. Of course, MAGA is trying to spin this and downplay this with hashtag Kamala Groped Me Too. And hey, how about this 84 years ago Titanic lady saying Trump groped her and everything? They're making light of it, and I sort of, in a way, get that response because this has been done before. However, in the E. Jean Carroll case, you can see that when these stories are stood up to scrutiny in a court system, they live. They manage to survive. You have Trump's own words confirming that he would do this. You have him on audio tape. When you're a star, they just let you do it. You just grab him by the what. Um, I moved on her. I moved on her like a bitch. She had these great fake hoobies, and I tried to move on her, but I didn't get there. I mean, you have his own words saying, confirming from his mouth that he is a sexual assaulter, that he does not respect women's bodies and women's choice by doing these things. And in this particular article here, Stacy says that she first met Trump in 92 at a Christmas party after being introduced to him by Epstein, who she believed was a good friend of the New York real estate developer. Williams said Epstein was interested in her, and the two casually dated for a period of few months. It became clear that they were really good friends. They spent a lot of time together. Epstein had suggested during a walk that they were on that he and Williams should stop by Trump Tower to visit Trump. Moments after they arrived, she alleges Trump greeted Williams, pulled her toward him, started groping her. She said he put his hands all over my breasts as well as her waist and her buttocks. She said she froze and was deeply confused as to what was happening. And of course, Caroline Levitt denies it and says, she's just a former activist for Barack Obama. And she was announced on a Harris campaign call. This was the women survivors call with Kamala Harris. This wasn't a Harris campaign thing per se. It was women who have survived these issues coming together and talking about it. She's produced some proof by saying this is a postcard that Donald Trump had sent her from 1993. This would be pretty obvious to figure out whether or not this card existed in 93. Williams said Trump sent her agent a postcard via courier later in 93 with an aerial view of Mar-a-Lago's Palm Beach resident resort. She shared it with the Guardian in his handwriting using what appears to be his usual black Sharpie. Stacy, you're home away from home. Love, Donald. And here's the call that they were talking about, survivors for Kamala. So in a way, yes, it is definitely a campaign call, but I think it sort of goes beyond that. It's very easy to look up this person, Werner J. Birch, if they're still alive. Forget it. I'm not even going to try on that one. But I think it would be very easy to confirm when this picture was taken, when the card was printed, who was the publisher, and everything like that. I mean, just looking at this side of it here, it certainly looks like it is an aged postcard. The chances of this being used in a fake manner seem very low. There seems to sort of be like maybe a little bit of a storage crease there or something. Well, no. There maybe is like a little bit of photo damage over here with that white. That doesn't seem to be a breaker or anything. You sort of have some fading over there. I don't think this is tipping of the corner. I think that it was just not angled correctly. But at first glance, you're like, oh, that even looks like a tipped corner over there. I mean, this seems pretty authentic to me. The handwriting definitely seems authentic. Scenic Florida District made. Let me see if I can we zoom in on that a little bit here? No. God, I hate it when it does that. Yeah, I think there's plenty of information here to find out when this was taken. get the writing analyzed and everything compared to existing samples, I think this is a super easy one to prove. And while you can sit there and say, this seems like tried and true gamesmanship between the parties, and we've seen this before, and blah, 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 that is the difference that I'm trying to get to with these events, because we're going to get into the MAGA one in just a moment. These that are coming out about Trump, whether it be this old video getting the rounds again, this showing up fresh, the, hey, we're hearing about him groping a minor at an event, the daughter of somebody who ran an event or something like that, but nobody's seen any videos or pictures of it yet. These are all things that are on brand. These are things that all line up to what he has actually said he does. Whether this makes a difference to the MAGA set, if this confirmation comes out, if this video about the minor comes out and it is true and it is verified and he did do it, it's not going to matter to MAGA because they're already deflecting on it. They're posting the the videos and the pictures of the things Biden has done. And what Biden has done in the past is very much not good. There is no way and in no world in which that is acceptable and should have happened. One of the things you have to remember, though, is that one of those pictures is actually of his grandchildren, and he was comforting them when Bo had died, but they've twisted it to be perverse in nature. Because when you don't know who the person is and you're just seeing the picture, you're going to react and have a knee gut, like just a gut reaction to it or a knee-jerk reaction to it. But then when you learn the context, it looks a lot better. He's done plenty of things where he's like sniffed hair and has hands on shoulders of people who stand lower than him. And my overall sum up of that, while that not being good, and I think people did talk to him about it, and I think those behaviors were generally corrected. I think enough people perhaps in his campaign were like, you gotta really stop doing this. People are picking it apart. I believe it was never intentional, and it was never malicious in nature or never sexual or perverted in nature. They just seemed creepy uncle. And from anybody who has young kids or is a set of relatively young parents, the people that I know that are a generation behind me and now they're coming into their own where they're having kids, I see more of these parents posting about empowering kids not to be touched when they don't want to, and how just because it's family doesn't mean it is forgivable. Like it's always these sort of like cartoons of the ant that is like pinching cheeks and giving big kisses and crazy hugs and stuff like that. And it's empowering kids to say, if you don't like that and that is not okay, well then make it not okay. It is safe to do that. You can sit there and say, I don't like this, and it should be respected. Whereas in my generation, and maybe even the people in the generation right below me, it was sort of always that you just took it because they were family. And now parents are learning to empower their kids to say no, and that the no means no, and sloppy kisses and big hugs and stuff like that count. So that is the vibe that I always got from Biden when I would see those things, is that he was that creepy uncle who never really meant poor in his actions. Always generally meant well, but they came across as bad. And perhaps somebody would need to say, okay, time to stop doing this. And by and large, I haven't seen any pictures or videos of Biden doing that in a long time. Of course, that doesn't matter now because Biden is going to fade into the sunset when his tenure ends. And this is already happening now by the fact that he dropped out and Kamala took over. So continuing to reference things about what Biden did is stupid because he's not even running anymore. You have to focus on what Kamala is doing. Stop trying to bring Biden back into this, which is the deep whataboutism that MAGA does, where they always wanted to go with Obama and things that he did. Biden is immaterial to the conversation now. Focus on Trump, focus on Kamala, and what the two of them are doing and not doing or being accused of and such like this. The allegation of groping and unwanted sexual touching follows a well-documented pattern of behavior by Trump. 24 women have accused the former president. A former model named Amy Doris shared allegations about Trump similar to what Williams described with The Guardian in 2020. Trump, of course, denied it. The E. Jean Carroll one. I had actually never heard of this Amy Doris. I mean, you have quotes about Trump concerning Epstein, especially this one's very damning. It's even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do. Many of them are on the younger side. I mean, it's pretty gross right there. And then to pretend it didn't happen by saying it was not a fan of his. I could say it's imaginable that he could say, I'm not a fan of his, as in right now after the falling out, but to say that I was not clearly flies in the face of what Trump used to say about Epstein. Plus, I'm sure we've all seen the video of him dancing with a bunch of people in front of him, a bunch of ladies. One of them is blonde, has that sort of 80s big hair going on, and that chewing, the big gum chewing motions. And she walks in front of Donald and she stops and she's like waving at somebody off camera, behind the camera, and Trump pulls her into him, like grabs her around the waist and pulls her back. Now, she doesn't seem to have the most negative reaction to it, but he manhandles her when he does that, and it comes across as like it's a meat processing party. You know, it's like it's like a meat market, and that is what that party was designed to do. Yeah, that's really the vibe you get from it when you see it. Does she respond poorly and like turn around and slap him, or seem disgusted, or she doesn't even seem to be registering what's happening, but it still happened. And when you combine it with his words about Epstein and just grab him by the you know what and everything, there is a pattern. So if these are stories and they are Democrat stories, they are at least on brand with established previous entities. People have been trying to lie about Kamala and say that she had some to-dos with Diddy, including throwing around the picture where people were like, this is young Kamala. It actually wasn't. It wasn't even really a Photoshop. It was just somebody who wasn't Kamala. But people were saying, this is Kamala and here's P. Diddy. It wasn't. However, Trump and P. Diddy have had their dalliances in the past. So Patrick McMullen Archives, Palm Beach, Florida, March 18th. Melania Trump attends Russell Simmons' Art for Life, Palm Beach to honor Sean P. Diddy Combs, hosted by Donald and Melania Trump at Mar-a-Lago back in March of 2005. So, not obviously, you cannot make everybody guilty by association just simply because they hung out with somebody who turns out to be a very bad actor. There were definitely times when you have no idea of the things that are going on in somebody's more private life. But when you look at the history of Trump being associated to Vince McMahon, you see the troubles Vince McMahon is having, Anton Lazaro and the trouble Anton Lazaro is having, and now P. Diddy and Epstein and everything like this. There is a history of him being tied to people that are doing some pretty bad things. Now, the counter to that is like, well, what about, Dr. Phil and Oprah and Dr. Oz and Oprah, and what about Harvey Weinstein and Oprah and stuff like that? Not, admittedly, yeah, definitely not a good look for Oprah. She definitely has some swings and misses there, and the Harvey Weinstein Association does look pretty bad. To be fair, at that level, I do believe Oprah probably does have some knowledge of it. As far as I know, she's never spoken about it and never confirmed anything, but that is not a good look. But if somebody goes to a party one time, say Trump went to a P. Diddy party one time, you're not going to automatically say, okay, Trump knows what P. Diddy's about, and here's another person Trump hangs out with that is a diddler and everything. This is plenty different. There's a lot of photos of them together, and here are the Trumps holding a party in honor of P. Diddy. So, yeah, another kind of guilty by association. In terms of this story, that there is going to be a video out there of Trump groping the minor and everything, Glenn Beck is out there saying, do not believe any video or audio that comes out in the last few days of the 2024 election, even if it fits your worldview. Deep fakes have already been used to manipulate elections around the world. Yeah, more on that in a moment. And the last few days, no time to reduce the damage. Glenn Beck is a fucking liar. Now, maybe he's not lying about the truth of this, just on a global scale. But it's very, very interesting that a lot of Trump talking points type people, Trump talking heads, have been out there ahead of this before anything has ever been released saying, don't believe it, don't believe it, don't believe it. They're already laying that groundwork that Trump and Trumpers and MAGA always do, the get out ahead of it thing. These people that are saying there's going to be voter fraud before there is even barely voting. And they're just getting that information out there to already swing you and weaponize you and engage and enrage you before the event even happens. So it bolsters their cause to be out ahead of that, because then it seems like they are the ones in possession of the real information and everything else is garbage and bullshit, which is not the case. It's just being savvy about communications and being savvy about persuasion and really mind warping and mind control. So for Glenn Beck and others to say, don't believe it, don't believe it, don't believe it, it's going to come out, you're going to see it, it's deep fake. They're doing damage control before the damage is out there. They're doing the control, but it's pre-damage control, and it's pretty disgusting. And I can tell you, I have confirmed with my own 2 ears and 2 eyes that Glenn Beck is a goddamn liar. In September of 2020, during COVID, I was in a Meineke getting some work done on my car, and The Blaze was playing on TV. This was a very pro-Trump style establishment that I was in. Confirmed by the fact that one of the Meineke employees was speaking to the husband of somebody who left a negative review on like a Google or Yelp review or something like that. And I guess this guy was calling to find out why the negative review, and the person on the other end was like, oh, my wife was the one who left it. Well, after they hang up, the Meineke employee says, I think I know who this was. This was the lady who was getting mad at me because I wasn't wearing a mask. And I'm like, lady, this is my own shop. Masks are stupid. I'm not going to wear a mask. And I was actually sitting there in the lobby with a mask on going, oh crap. Because, I mean, it was September 2020. Uh, we were masked up far beyond that. So, but anyway, the Blaze was on TV and it was Glenn Beck. And Glenn Beck was saying that Biden was only just now condemning the violence of the George Floyd type protests because the violence was beginning to hurt his numbers. And I confirmed immediately that that was complete bullshit. Biden had gone on record twice within the first month of the George Floyd killing and was condemning the violence. He had done it in May and he had done it in June. So within 4 weeks of it happening and the protests starting and everything, Biden already was saying to stop the violence and this was not the way to go. And so for him to just sit there and say that he was only now doing it in September of 2020 because he realized he was losing numbers in the election by not speaking out about it or whatever, it was complete bullshit. Glenn was lying through his teeth or was pandering to people without knowledge. Maybe Glenn Beck didn't know he was lying, but he didn't do enough research to know that what he was saying was false, whereas it just took me like a minute to do that. So this right here kind of gives credence to the fact that this may be very damaging against Trump if it is out there, because for these people to take it super, super seriously like this and not pshaw it, not hand wave it, but to say immediately, don't believe this, it's going to be fake. That's telling. Now, the other side of it is, so, you know, what is MAGA doing to attack the left on this? About a week or two ago, things started to break that supposedly Tim Walz had contact with a gay student back when he was doing some teaching stuff. And it was this guy by the last name of Metro. And Black Insurrectionist was the account on on Twitter that was promoting this. And as of now, like he shut down that account and he changed his bio. I mean, it was a very Russian talking point, and it actually turned out to be discovered that it was a Russian group talking point. They were the ones who were behind it. But many people were breaking down that story saying it was garbage. Here's why you can tell. One, the screenshot of the supposed email that was given to Black Insurrectionists shows a cursor right in the middle of the screenshot, which means it's not a screenshot of a message that the person is reading. It is more like a screenshot of somebody actively typing in a Word document. Also, the date, and you can't see it here, but the date had a comma after the year. No mail app does month, day, comma, year, comma. That is not a typo. That is a system-generated thing. That is the part of the header information that shows when the email was sent. No system would be configured to add an extra comma. Plus, it was also Proton Mail, which is very well known in Magasphere as being a like Rumble and things like that. It's the Brave browser. It's just a favorite of MAGA. So I had it out for about a couple days with this guy Bradish, who was saying you're not addressing the actual issue. You're just trying to pick nits. It's coming across as very, very desperate. No, this person was actually proving as to how the story was fake and was producing real evidence of like, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. This is fake. This is the proof that it's fake because these things don't do that. And he's like, this guy Bradish was like, oh, you're trying to pick nits. So he and I had a pretty major head-to-head, tete-a-tete for about a day and a half and everything. And I'm like, I work in IT. I know this stuff. He's absolutely right. He's not nitpicking. These are the facts. And he was Well, it's now embarrassing for this guy Bradish because it's come out that it was a fake story all along. Here is the actual video of the imposter that MAGA was using of Matthew Metro telling the Tim Wall story. This is the imposter and this is the real guy. Listen to the difference between the two over here.
Mankato West High School in Minnesota. Well, I'm gay, and I realized this when I was 14 years old.
Oh, it's obviously not me. It's the teeth are different, the hair is different, the eyes are different, the nose is different, and the accent is definitely an off-throwing thing. I obviously don't have an foreign accent, so I don't know where they're getting this from.
I was a student at Mankato West High School in Minnesota.
Minnesota?
Well,
Minnesota? I mean, yeah, just appearance alone. This is a very Jason Statham-ish bald head up there. The hairline is way far back compared to this guy. The mustache is a bit less refined over here on the real Matthew Metro. On the imposter, it's a little bit neater. This is sort of a more shaded, a more like overlook brow over here. This is a more natural slope rather than sort of that sharp drop off kind of cliff brow over here. People have said that they know this district in Minnesota and you don't pronounce it the way that this guy did, plus the Minnesota that he says over there. This is the difference between the narratives of the two parties. If all of these over here are Democrat-run stories and none of them actually hold water and they're all fake and everything, they are grounded in a reality that is established. They are grounded in a reality that exists, including a reality in which the perpetrator has said he does those things and he's perpetrated those things. So they have more of a realistic basis to them. Okay? You are taking them with less grains of salt. Whereas this was just straight up fake from the beginning. The real Matthew Metro, Walls never taught him. The video shows the real person and the imposter, and there's so many differences there. So everybody who called the story out right from the beginning as being fake, we're all vindicated at this point. Some MAGA, like Megyn Kelly, even they were like, I don't know that this one's true. They were trying to distance themselves from it, saying it kind of smells. And to them, a little bit of credit. In that conversation that I was having there with Bradish, I had pointed out that even Megyn Kelly was trying to distance herself from it and like it didn't care. There was no getting through to this guy, and I just want to laugh in his face now that it has been proven to be debunked and where the sources were now for over a week. But that's the difference between the two. If all of these are fake, these ones that are pro-Democrat, anti-Trump, they're grounded very much in a reality. Whereas this one, which is anti-Democrat, was completely off the wall. I don't know if this was another human being or perhaps AI, but it just is so far out of the bounds of reality and was so fake right from the beginning. It was easily spottable, and even a bunch of right-wing people are like, I don't think this story really holds water. Let's be careful on this one. To the left's credit, this groping the minor story, people are, even who are anti-Trump, are like, okay, let's believe it when we see it. Right now, this just seems to be a rumor. Let's kind of hold off until we actually see the video and the proof and everything. Whereas this one was absolutely chewed up by MAGA. They glommed on this so hard and truly in their heart of hearts believed it to be true, and they were spreading it, and media outlets that always carry this kind of stuff were running with the story, but everybody else knew it was fake. Just bad all around. And the difference is grounded in reality or just complete fake and garbage and things are made up. There we go. So take both of these scenarios as you will, and be safe out there with the disinformation. Have a good one.